My darling Virgos, welcome. So let's do a reading for March. We will be focusing on completing the cycles of last year as we're heading towards the astrological new year. So starting again once we get through Pisces season. And for you, Virgo, we want to pull through a meaningful conversation with spirit around what we need to be looking for, preparing for, understanding within our multidimensional selves for March, right? There is always an opportunity to learn and grow. There is always a collaboration with spirit that is asking for our awareness, and that's it. You know, we don't have to figure everything out. We don't have to be super on top of everything. I guess we want what spirit wants is we just want to feel connected at all times. We want our energy systems to be aligned with nature, with our guides, with ourselves, and our multidimensional selves too. So the parts of us that aren't just living day to day, the parts of ourselves that aren't in fear, the parts of ourselves that can comprehend things outside of our physical realm, the parts of us that are living in the past and the future and in alternate realities all at once, the parts of us that can hold the dichotomy and the duality of many states of emotions at once. We are not just our past, we are not just our future, we are an all-encompassing consciousness. We have a physical body which will always remain in the 3D realm, and that serves us. We have an ego to organize our outer experience based on our collective memory of this lifetime. We need our ego. Our ego is telling us and organizing our reality based on who we think we are, which is based on what we've been through. But it's not everything that we are. We are not just our mind looping narratives around what we think is right and wrong. It's so much more than that, isn't it? So I hope this reading can pull you into a frequency that you resonate with. And if it doesn't, that's all good too. It's free content. So particularly with intuitive content, take the parts that you like, discard the parts that you don't. Comment down below if you're resonating or if there's a certain timestamp that really resonated with you. So you can go back and watch it at the end of the month, check on the timestamp and say, yeah, I kind of get how that showed up for me, so that we can start to map what spirit is saying and how that eventuates. This is all intuition development, and it's really important to have that. So one day when your guides say, heads up, this theme is coming, pay attention, you know, and have trust and surrender towards how it might materialize, but also we always want to be surprised. I think the level of surprise and delight really talks about if we're in connection with spirit all the time. You know, our levels of awe and magic and synchronicity and multidimensionality is really what we're here for. We're not here to have it all figured out, and we're not here to know it all. I'm just going to make sure you can see the cards a little bit. There we go. For those of you that read tarot, I'm just doing Rider-Waite for the first season of these readings, just to see how we go. Hopefully some of you are into tarot and probably been doing it for far more years than I have, but let's join together and use your interpretation of the cards as well as listening to mine, and maybe let me know if there's anything else that you think came through for you while I was reading. So we're going to do a 3-card story representing the depths or the evolution of the idea. First card is Page of Pentacles. So for you, Virgo, we are looking at, and it's a very earthly card, which is good. You're going to love it. We're looking at the information that's come through curiosity, through new ideas, through new projects, new engagements, new connections that have taught you more about your resources. It is a natural curiosity around how to become more stable, how to make more money, how to provide for yourself, how to be closer to the earth, how to be more centered, how to look after yourself better. And that's a natural territory for Virgo when it's in alignment and when it's healthy. And this page is really coming to us as like a very grounded young man, right? So we don't have to take genders here. Let's take it as a young masculine force. It could be in your life or it could be within you. If you've been working on your healthy divine masculine, you might be trying to get better at discipline, at saving money, at showing up for yourself, about the day-to-day rituals that you need, habit forming, all of those things that really collectively reward you over time, right? Those atomic habits that actually pay you back with interest eventually. Now, Pentacles for a lot of people can be a little bit boring day-to-day stuff, but very, very important, we must agree. So have a think about the last month and the last year collectively around what you've learned about this area of your life. So what have you learned about being kinder to yourself, nurturing yourself, showing up for yourself, providing for yourself and keeping yourself safe in every realm? And a really 3D aspect around surrounding yourself with the right alchemy and the right energy so that you can get those smaller tasks done that are contributing to your bigger goals. And we'll be looking at achievement-based goals, long-term pursuits that set you up for life. So these could be your long-term financial goals. These could be your long-term health goals, particularly the ones you know that need you to show up every single day. So it's not like you get a huge payout and you save half of it and you get a tick. Page of Pentacles really talks about saving $20 every week so that you know in a year you've actually banked on and invested in yourself to the point where you've got more resources. And it's a slow, methodical, earthly way of getting there. So I want you to think about all the times that you've done that and be proud of yourself there, because you are learning the skill set to get to a King of Pentacles place, which is really leading the way in how to provide for ourselves long term and be in that real sense of authority with ourselves and be in a completely stable, healthy, masculine place, right? So if this card brings up deficiencies in the divine masculine, that could also be deficiencies in the men in your life, your father wound, your paternal ancestral trauma. If all of that has trickled down to you to make it really hard to be disciplined in a day-to-day nature. So Page of Pentacles will be asking you, if you find that's really hard for you, then moving forward into March, that's what we need to focus on. For those of you that have spent a year really kicking that in, well done. And we'll be moving on to the next card. So it's still relevant if you're not there yet, because you need to understand what the layers are. So if we can get that new information, that discipline, that young masculine energy coming in that says, I'm really going to provide for myself. I'm really going to keep myself safe here. And I know the day-to-day tasks I need to do that. We get to a very fulfilled place. Ten of Cups talks about the completion of a cycle with your emotional and spiritual nourishment. So there is a big link into family, but my personal take on this is a sense of being surrounded by people that are all healthy and well and vibrant. You know that feeling when everybody around you is doing well all at once? And it's like nobody's crashing and burning, nobody's crisis calling. It's almost a bit strange. Everyone's doing something that lights them up. Everyone's going after their own fulfillment. It's like things sort of settle into this slipstream where we're all saying like, wow, this is beautiful. And we know life is transient, but once you get to 10 of Cups, you have learned all the relevant lessons on how to fill your cup up emotionally and spiritually, and to surround yourself with that beautiful sensitivity and that intuition that the cups are known for. You've learned how to be in unconditional love more often and balance fear and resentment and anger and all those other emotions that come in, so you can have this feeling of, I now get to understand what this feels like. So the old paradigm would say that we need the white picket fence, the partner and the kids and the house and all the things to get to 10 of cups. In my experience, that's not the way it works for most people, particularly not most spiritual people right now. But the card still depicts what it would feel like to get to that new sense of community, to get to that new sense of support network. So think of this as the right support network for you. That doesn't matter. There's no judgment around this. That could be finally renting a house on your own with 2 dogs, or finally having the right friends around you, the right colleagues, the right influencers, finding a mentor, a coach. That support network is yours. But 10 of Cups says if we can prioritize the small actions, the earthly 3D stuff, to get us to this support network that just puts us in a whole new paradigm of what emotionally fulfilled could be like, we start the new cycle again. So it's almost like a new chapter begins based on, I have created this for myself and I have the right influences around me. Now I know what this feels like. Actually, you get to this place where you're like, wow, I've done all this work. This is awesome. I have these beautiful people around me. I know that there's something in me that is now locked in, that I know what true support feels like, or I know what family actually feels like, or I know what a soul tribe feels like. And I know that I'll never go back to that level of scarcity and deficiency and isolation and all of that. And that's wonderful. And here comes a different sense of what the next chapter will bring, right? Now, this isn't saying difficulty. It is saying that part of that community and that soul tribe is now addressing the relevant work that it takes to keep you foundationally solid and sovereign in that, right? Because it's not just that we find our tribe and then everything's happy forever. We find our tribe and then we prepare for the ups and downs of being in connection and community with other sovereign beings. At time, there will be battles. At time, there'll be negotiations. At time, there'll be pushes and pulls. At times, there'll be people that aren't feeling well, people that are feeling really well, and the contrast of. But once we hit that, I think these are the people I'm meant to surround myself with, we don't stay in any kind of delusion that we're all going to be happy forever. That's the fairy tale idea. What I would like to sink into is we move between 10 of Cups on either side to see what keeps us hovering in that really blissful state. Sometimes we have to go back and prioritize what works for us day to day in the basic atomic habits that build up to us being receptive to tribe and community. And sometimes it is all a bit much with how much interpersonal stuff can go on. Maybe it's drama, maybe there's people butting heads and contrast, but we still understand that that comes from the bliss of where we're trying to get to, right? So you might call in the partner, the tribe, the community, the friends, and know that when you pull them into that beautiful support network idea, into that tribe idea, that it's relevant to understand that sometimes when we get to that level of completion, all the people in that community and that support network start upgrading together. Upgrading together means shadow flushing. Shadow flushing means difficult stuff coming to the surface for us to look at and then let go of. And of course, there's going to be contrasts and changes in energy. So please don't get disheartened if the right people are around you, but they are battling with their own egos and they're fighting with their partners, or they're trying to negotiate through difficult creative ideas. It's not that it's not the right tribe, and it's not that you're not on the right track. It's the relevant parts of growing together. So remember, keep your boundaries where they need to be to protect everything you've worked towards, and figure out how much of your beautiful cup you have to help and support, And hold the intention of 10 of Cups, hold the intention of the completion and the support network and the tribe and community you've been calling in. And don't get so thrown off by other people's, I don't want to use the word petty, but other people's egoic dramas that just are a part of this world, right? It's not about judging them for where they're at. It's really about saying, I'm holding the end result of wanting an awesome support network around me. And I don't expect everyone to be happily playing in the fields at all times, but hold this state in your body and keep on addressing situations from that belief system that these are the people I'm investing in. This is the support network that I've called in. This is exactly where spirit wants me to be. And addressing those smaller problems that come up with interpersonal relationships is part of it, right? Let's expand on that with a shadow card, particularly that 5 of Wands, because that can bring up some friction. And just be mindful of when you see that friction, it's not cut and run time, right? When you see that friction, it's about stepping back and reflecting on what are the ways that I can keep my resources high? What are the ways I can support people without draining my own cup? What are the ways that I can make sure that my long-term pursuits are still in alignment for me? And how do I distinguish what is someone else's and what is mine? So this is not the time for codependency. When we get to 10 of Cups, please remember, stay sovereign, stay connected to people without going into codependency. It's where codependency shows up that we start to get involved in other people's battles. Now, it's not up to you to get involved in other people's battles. You can go and support them, which means sit with them, listen to them, do your best to understand and reflect to them what they're having trouble with, and then encourage and cheerlead them to find their own solutions. Don't rescue, don't swoop in, don't let anybody walk on top of you. Just stay sovereign, right? It'd be very important. Now, your shadow aspect for that conversation is the spider, number 18, if you're into numbers. So the spider does represent creativity, and it might be a sense of creativity that you're a little bit uncomfortable with. So when spider shows up, as they do, particularly here in the rainforest, it's really saying, get creative, particularly with your problems. So if there's interpersonal dynamics that are stressing you out, get creative. Get in there in a different way than you've ever been before. If you're following an old pattern that is not creative, which means you're in a traumatic response, which comes up as a reaction, not a memory. So what I see the most in this is people either diving in, rescuing too much, trying to solve people's problems for them, which is, oh, don't worry, I'll call your partner and say that you've said this or something ridiculous. Or they say something like, oh, don't worry, I'll book you into that appointment. Or can I come round and do everything for you? Spider is offering up a different solution, which says, if you've solved that problem like that before and it hasn't worked out well for you, then we need a level of solution that you haven't considered before. So if every time you get uncomfortable, you skip town and start again, or if every time you get uncomfortable, you pull back and say that you've failed, or you swoop in, go codependent with people and forget your boundaries, Spider says we're not doing that anymore. This is a level of creativity that is often scary. So imagine a spider in a place you don't want them to be, very close to you and you didn't see it, right? So a spider crawling over your face at night is a shocking experience that wakes you up and forces energy, doesn't it? So when you get to this place in March and you realize that there's people and their drama is getting too much, remember what Spider says. Spider says, creatively solve the problem in a new way. So ask yourself some difficult questions. What if I just didn't participate? What if I actually said, this is yours, not mine? What if I went down a completely separate path? What if I left them to it? What if I fully acknowledged or called out the behavior that I see? What if I actually told people that they were gaslighting or they were ghosting, or they were doing some kind of behavior that shows them that they're in a trauma response? What if I actually acknowledged that I was in a trauma response and I was telling myself that there was all sorts of problems when they're not, right? What if my fear of being judged was actually getting in the way? Spider wants you to ask those uncomfortable questions so that you can get out of the pattern. Why? Get back here. Yeah? So this is your pursuit. Full-hearted, content, fulfilled, around the right people in the right way for you, to make you feel, or to invite you into a feeling of true community, true family-like bonds. It doesn't have to be your first family. It doesn't have to be your direct relatives. You call in those that make you joyful. There's joy in this card. Yep. And a rainbow always depicts something after a storm. So for me, it seems like, Virgo, it will be about coming into the relationships that you've always dreamed of in a new way. Because the rainbow depicts some, you know, the brightness after a storm, the color after a storm is you had to go through so much to prioritize what it means for you to get that 10 of Cups feeling. So everything that you've gone through and everything that you've learned has got you to that moment. Now we start a new chapter with the right people, knowing that you're going to creatively solve your problems this time. You're not going to get stuck. I hope that helps. I love you all so much. See you soon. Bye.